thank you, first of all, to all of you for coming. I'm afraid that no one here is quite as cute as Thomas, so I'm actually especially thrilled. Hey, buddy! I'm kind of especially thrilled that Thomas came. But I do appreciate the support from all of you. I thought I would take just a few minutes. I'm not going to keep you here very long. But I might give some kind of an answer to the question, what's a college professor doing running for office? I think we all know that college professors have a little tendency to have their heads in the clouds. A theology professor seems like it could only be worse. But I think it's actually a helpful question to answer because there are some specific ways in which my work as a professor in theology has led directly to this decision, so I thought I would just address that for a moment. In some ways, it certainly is the everyday work of teaching, of collaborating, and in some cases of doing work like organizing and managing that has also become part of my academic life. Academics will tell you that academics is like a lot of different fields. You begin doing the work and then you find yourself moving into doing administration and other things. So in some ways it's been the interaction with the people that I've known. It's been learning over 3 decades now what it looks like to enter into a conversation in a thoughtful way, really listening for the voices of the people to whom I'm talking, trying to hear what they're saying before I give my position. And that can be true both of students and of colleagues. And for me, that has been deeply rewarding work. It's the kind of work that I hope to continue to do. But I actually think there is a specific way, at least one specific way, in which the field of theology is relevant here. So I thought I'd give a campaign opening speech on the doctrine of transubstantiation. No, I'm not going to give, no speeches on the doctrine of transubstantiation, no. I actually want to pick out just one central idea you find in Catholic theology, Catholic social thought. In a sense, it's a very simple idea. But it's one of those ideas that is so simple that it is enormous and profound. And that is the idea of the common good. So the common good, note, doesn't just mean seeking the most good for the most people that we can sort of manage. It can include doing things in that direction at certain times, but it insists on a more fundamental core commitment. That there is a good that we all share. That I belong to you, and that you belong to me, and that we are in this together. I think you've seen it, and frankly people all over the world have seen it in a certain sense in the public appearances and actions of the current Pope. I think that's a big part of what has touched people about his words and about his actions. They sense that he is listening and that he sees a good that is shared by all. For me, specifically in this campaign, it connects immediately to the issues that I have tried to highlight as ones that are of special interest to me, issues where I'm bringing my own experience and years of thinking through. Above all for me is education. I actually began, some of you know, I began my working life as a high school teacher, public high school teacher. Really kind of interesting and challenging setting, a large public school. We had a lot of serious problems that we had to face. There was violence and gang activity, and what I found was that was very difficult, and it was also deeply satisfying to get into the mix, to jump in and find out what it meant in that setting, to pursue the common good. Secondly, I guess I would just say, just to make an additional note there, I just want to note that concern in and of itself, a concern with education, which we don't always see, so in some ways I think it's slipping, is an expression of a commitment to the common good, right? When I say that I am concerned with education, when I invite you to be concerned with education, I mean that not only for people who have children in the schools. I mean it for people who haven't had children yet, and people whose children are grown, and people who will never have children, because, of course, the good of those children is the good of all of us. Secondly, I would say I've noted my own interest, something that I have personal experience with, of the issue of mental health challenges and what it means to address those challenges. I would argue too, I won't get up on my soapbox here because I promised that I would not talk for too long, but I would argue that actually this second issue is something like an invisible epidemic. We know that in Rhode Island, more than a third of the residents of the state have a behavioral diagnosis. That does not include people who have not yet been diagnosed. It is something that touches every community, every family, if not every individual directly. And it's a place where Rhode Island is not doing well right now. We are not meeting that challenge. So it's something that I myself very much am committed to focusing on in a new way. And then finally, again, many of you know, coming out of my own experience, I have a strong and immediate concern with the ongoing reform in Rhode Island of the Department of Children, Youth, Family Services. And in a sense, I suppose, that's the clearest expression of what it means to commit ourselves to a common good. Children who are residing in the care of the state of Rhode Island are children who belong to all of us. And they should be a concern for all of us. And there are real troubles there that need immediate attention as well. And there are other issues too. We could talk about what it means to be concerned for access to health care for all of us. We could talk about a profound case of interconnection and interrelatedness, which is environmental sustainability. That we are all in the same boat on that one, for sure. I think there are innumerable examples of it. But the final thing I'll say is this. I think the principle of the common good not only leads to focus on this issue and focus on that issue. I think it's important. We have to identify issues, we have to identify strategies, and we have to address them. But for me, it also means a turning toward other people. And by that I mean, above all, the constituents of this district. In a larger sense, I mean the residents of the state of Rhode Island as a whole. And I want to say this very clearly. I also mean turning to embrace the common good shared with those with whom we disagree. What we see at the national level right now is unprecedented levels of dysfunction, a loss of a conversation that is fruitful and effective. And we need people who are ready to resist that intentionally and actively. To join hands with the people that are around them and look for ways to enact creative collaboration. So the common good has to do with those who are right next to us, at the desk next to us, and at the office next to us, etc. So all of that is important to me. It's one of the reasons that the primary focus for me of the campaign season is being in touch one-on-one with the people of District 5. I'm excited and ready to start knocking on doors. You have to check in and see at the end of July if my feet are sore, I don't know. But above all, what I want to do is to not simply talk at the people of District 5, but to hear from them. What are the concerns for them as individuals, and what are the primary challenges that their families are facing right now? What ways should and can and should the government be paying attention to those concerns? So I want to say thank you again. For me, I'll just say in a very practical way, deciding to move forward with this candidacy, deciding to move forward with this campaign has had everything to do with the community that I'm a part of, with people who have supported, encouraged me, and said to me, you can do it. And I imagine myself as running not only for myself, but for that community and for all of us. So thank you.